am Walt. Happy Halloween. I have a new guest today that I'd like to introduce to you. It is the Eleaf Istick Nowos. Let's see what it can do. And inside of the box we have an extra glass, which is straight-sided. We have an extra coil, which to me appears to be the same coil as it was shipped with. We have some extra O-rings and a filler port seal, something like that. We have a USB cable for both upgrade and charging, and it does both. And you notice this neat little deal on the end. You can use either the old style USB mini or the new C style, and this mod uses the new C style, so you can put it in either way and you can't get it wrong. The mod itself comes in a nice little protective sleeve. That was kind of neat. Here we got the Ello Duro, which is your Addy, and that's the quick start guide for that. And here we have the E-Stick user's manual. I'm not going to go through it. There's not a whole lot to this thing, and it's a short read. Looking at the Addy, as always, I'm going to start at the top, and we have an 810 style with the O-rings on the drip tip itself. The top cap, there's a little indicator right there. You push to the side, there's your fill port. With the drip tip on there, there's not a lot of space between the drip tip and the filler port itself, so you gotta kind of gotta use some care and go slow, especially if you got a short-nosed bottle. And you also need to keep the bottle off to one side. It can kind of bubble up and lock, get a bubble lock in there real quick as well. So just gotta fill it kind of slow. Spinning the thing apart. We have our coil in here. The coil just turns out. You can see the connector on the bottom there, and you can kind of see the threads, and of course the seal. Here's the bottom, the 510 connector. Take a peek at that. Put this back in. Of course, standard procedure on a new coil. Drop some e-liquid down in the center of it till you see it start to turn color on the sides, and then finish putting it together and filling up the Addy. Glass itself pops right off. You can see an O-ring here for sealing the chimney and an O-ring here for sealing the glass. Popping it back together. It's best to pop that in first because that slips over a little ways. If you start with the glass on the bottom, it's a little hard to put the thing back together again. And then just line that up. Turn that on. You're good to go. Air control on the bottom, you got two of them. It does have stoppers. And it's a reasonable restriction. It's nice. It's not too loose. It's easy enough to move while it's on the mod. Well, there's our Addy. Here's our mod. Check that out. That's a neat finish. It's It's a real glossy finish. Almost looks ceramic-esque. That's just kind of nice. You got the the Istick Nowos on this side. The frame itself, all metallic. A little bit of weight to this mod, and I do believe it is substantial. I do believe it is a sturdily built mod. Here you have your USB connector. Again, that's a C-type. On this side, Eleaf. On this side, a fire button and a little place where you can stick a pen tip or something if you need to reset the device. The fire button itself, as you can see, it sticks out a little bit. It is plastic. There's a tiny little bit of movement to this. Okay, but it does not rattle. You shake the heck out of it and it will not rattle. Got a real nice click to it. Doesn't matter where you hit it, it will click. And it sticking up like that is definitely not hard to find. It's real easy to find. There's no problems there. On the bottom we got some venting. And on the top our 510, a little bit offset. You can see in there it's a coated center pin, and that center pin is spring loaded. Now what you don't see is any screen or any adjustment buttons. That's where this one kind of gets interesting. It's neat, in my humble opinion anyway. So let me adjust the lighting a little bit. We'll take a peek at that. This mod is real conventional and real simple. It's 5 clicks on and 5 clicks off. And those are the only way you can shut the mod down, is just with those 5 clicks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there we have our screen. It's from underneath and glows up onto the surface here. It's kind of neat, like I say. Here you have the battery percentage. That's pretty nice. It tells you the percentage instead of a little battery bar. That's a lot more accurate. Here we have the resistance, 0.22 ohms on this particular Addy. Here we have the wattage setting. It's set at 60 watts. You press it and you can see the second counter going on the bottom. It does reset to 0 as soon as you get done, so yeah, I guess you gotta, like many others, you gotta vape in a mirror or something to be able to see that. So now you want to adjust this thing, 1, 2, 3, and there we go. You get 2 little dots that come up. Those are your adjustment buttons. Check that out, eh? Speeds up. It gets down into the lower wattages and gives you tenths. Some of the mouth to lung vapors are going to like that. It goes all the way down to 1 watt. It goes up to 80. Pretty neat, eh? And okay, yeah, it gets around 10, 12 or whatever, and it goes into full watts. So it's kind of thoughtful. That's pretty neat. I'll put it back at 60 where I had it. Give it a long press. It locks in. That's it. You're all taken care of. And of course, with it that way, you can't, accidentally adjust anything, by pressing and holding it, whatever. It's an internal battery, and that's pretty much it for using the thing and the overview. A quick close-up. Here we are for the performance results. All of these are going to be in variable wattage, obviously. So the power setting is 480 watts. The true resistance as read on a milliohm meter is 0.18 ohms, and the mod read that as 0.14 ohms. Voltage applied was 3.24 volts, and it developed 75 watts. Did this with a nice flat DC signal and a real quick rise time. Next text up is 80 watts again, this time a true resistance of 0.27 ohms. Mod read that as 0.25 ohms. Voltage that it applied was 4.56 volts, and it delivered 83 watts at 2 milliseconds. Real nice flat DC signal, real nice amount of power, real nice all the way around. Third test up, full power 80 watts, 0.53 ohms true, 0.49 ohms read at the mod. The mod is applying 6.32 volts, and it developed 81.5 watts. 2 milliseconds rise time, flat DC signal. This mod is over delivering just a little bit, pretty much all the way around. This test is with the resistance at the same time it was last time, but the power setting turned down to something more reasonable for that that kind of a load of 45 watts. So the voltage applied was 4.84 volts, and we got 48 volts. A rise time of 2 milliseconds, very flat DC signal. Just wanted to see how it would work out when it was something more reasonable, and it did very nice. Last screen up in variable wattage mode. This is 80 watts again, and the true resistance of 1.03 ohms. We've got the mod reading that at 0.94 ohms. It's applying 9.2 volts, a little bit more than what the specs say it will. And it delivered 90 watts, 2 millisecond rise time, real nice DC signal in consideration of how much this thing is boosting. And I'm impressed. That is a lot of power for that that kind of a load. This thing is pretty reasonable. Okay, down to the talk about it. Here's our guest, the Eleaf Nowos. And so what do we think? I think it's a sleek appearance. I like it. I really do. It's elegant, especially in the cases on the two sides. The sides, the edges, I guess I could call them, a little bit more utilitarian. The only piece that to me just doesn't quite fit in is the fire button. It just seems like with such an elegant finish, such a nice finish, that fire button could have been just a little bit more, a little bit nicer. It would have fit the general motif a little bit better, but that's just me. The Addy itself, real nice volume of juice. The two coils were a little bit different, and one was a 0.2 ohm, one was a 0.25 ohm. They're both they're both a dual coil, a dual chimney or whatever. There's two coils in there, and they're maybe not quite a mesh, more like a chainmail in there. The flavor is good to very good. Some of the mesh coils that just have a single large mesh in there for sub-ohm tank are, in all honesty, a little bit better. Okay, so this is just about equal with those, but it's not quite the same flavor. I will say this, don't go over the recommended wattage with this thing. Those coils will dry out in a hurry. I felt like, wow, we're almost up to that flavor, at the 60 watts, the max. I'm going to try to push it a little. Well, it didn't help anything. It started drying out. Started getting almost a little bit of that dry hit kind of taste to it. Okay, so that's that just doesn't work out so well with this particular Addy. But outside of that, it's a nice little Addy. It's respectable. The mod itself, what did I find for nits? I found one thing about this. After I praised the percentage there for the battery life, I used it a little bit more, and I noticed this. I've seen a lot of mods where you get down to around 50, maybe 40%, okay, and they start using the battery real fast. That percentage starts really going down in a hurry. That's understandable. Okay, the battery is, still trying to put out the same amount of wattage, and it just doesn't have that charge left in it, and it's going to deplete rather rapidly. This does something a little bit strange, though. From 100 to about 90%, it goes down real slow. I thought this thing was going to last for like a week or something. I mean, it just really, that battery life was really going down real slow. I was getting a lot of puffs out of it in a linear fashion, but again, just real slow down to 90%. After it got down to 90%, it started dropping in a hurry, like 5% at a time, after a few puffs. So it gets real non-linear from 90% on down. That's a little different, okay? So that's something to keep in mind, obviously. That's just a little bit strange. Outside of that, real simple mod, obviously. Nothing to change but the wattage, and real easy to change the wattage, and you can't make a mistake with it. by pressing something. No worries in that regard. And the battery life is good. I mean, it puts out a good 3 tanks, okay, with a single charge. So, yeah, it's obviously like every other mod on the planet. It has its place, okay? Not everybody's going to like it. Some people are going to want the replaceable batteries. Some people are going to want this or that, or more information on the screen, or a different motif all the way around. A different look, a different, yeah. So, at any rate, yeah, it is what it is. It takes about 3.5 hours to charge. Okay, and that's with a 1 amp charge. I like to charge at 1 amp. I think it makes the batteries last overall longer by not charging them so fast, and I'm not in a hurry to get these things charged up, so that works out real good for me. So I guess with that, I'm going to let it go. As always, definitely appreciate the watch. Oh, and to answer the question, trick or treat. I'm going to call it a treat. Yeah, I think so. A couple little tricks in there, but overall, this is a treat. I'm going to go with that. Eleaf, thank you much. Always appreciated. All you viewers, thank you so much. Always appreciated. With that, I'm going to say goodbye.